this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Move on, Joe! Our triumphant return on a Monday morning in the Bay. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hope you all had a lovely weekend here in the Bay Area or wherever you're listening, whether it's on the Odyssey app, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X. I don't even know what you're calling it anymore. But I appreciate you choosing me and choosing us for the next hour. Your boy Joe Spadoni here, and you got me, and we got a lot to get into. An awful lot happened this weekend in the world of sports. We're going to go international. We might be doing Pitbull rejoins the whole show. We might, because he is Mr. Worldwide. But when it comes to sports talk, it doesn't get more worldwide than the Pregame Show with yours truly. So 888-957-9570. That's the number to get involved, whether it's call or text. The Xfinity mobile text line. I want to hear from you. Again, a lot happened in sports this weekend. We'll get to the Giants. They take the series in Texas against old friend and pal Bruce Bochy. So they get the dub there. Not yesterday, though. The game was on the Roku channel, by the way. Have they been doing that all year? Is that last year they installed that? One of the more random channels. Hey, nothing against the Roku. They might be a sponsor here at the station. That's fine. Usually it's on either MLB Network. They usually have the free game of the day. Apple TV. I've seen, obviously ESPN. They were doing we're going international. They were doing their series out in London between the Phillies and Mets. Phillies choke job on full display across the pond. So not only do the Londoners get to see their own national team in England choke in the big stage, they got to see an American team who was the best in the National League choke at the highest level as well. So something they're used to seeing. I'm kidding. Come on. My uncle's from England. Shout out Uncle Phil if you're listening. Love you. Big Man United fan. But Giants take the series. And I think it's safe to say on June 10th, 2024, of course, when I say this, it'll all jinx them and their season will go kaput. But they're 32-34 right now. I'm confident in saying they've dealt with the most type of injuries, the most brutal type of injuries you could have for a team, that being towards the pitching staff and obviously some of their bats. If they can get through this stretch, which they have done pretty much, at around 500, 32-34, now we'll wait and see when Alex Cobb comes back, when the Blake Snell comes back, when the Robbie Rays of the world, when they come back. But for now, and we saw Keaton win yesterday. It was a struggle. That's what you expect. 4.1 innings pitched. 6 hits, 7 earned runs. Did have 7 Ks. So it was a mixed bag for him, but it was an ugly loss. You got the series win. Now you move on. Now you take on the Houston Astros for a 3-game set at home. No Kyle Tucker for the Astros in these 3 games, which is a big bonus. Obviously, no Corey Seager throughout the weekend for the Texas Rangers, but you know what? You're not going to apologize for that. Because again, as I've been saying, the Giants have been dealing with their fair share of injuries, and they're still hovering around 500 throughout all of that. I say all that to say this. As we look at the wild card standings, and no, it's not too early to look at them. It tells a picture, the tail of the tape, if you will. And it's pretty crazy. Because if you look right now on MLB.com, you just go to their standings page, which I'm on right now. So obviously you got the class of the National League, the Phillies at 45-20. You got the Dodgers, and God, what an exciting series over the weekend that was. Dodgers-Yankees does not get more box office than that. Did you guys see the amount of Dodgers fans walking in to the Bronx? It was incredible. They had to shut down traffic. They got them leading the NL West at 41-26. Then you got the Milwaukee Brewers, who have outachieved their expectations this season so far at 38-27. So they're, the 3 teams that are leading their own division. Then you got the Atlanta Braves, the only other team over 500 in the National League. Again, still only 4 teams over 500 in the National League. Braves at 35-28. they lead the first wild card spot. Then you got the Padres, then you got the Cubbies, then you got the Reds, then you got the Giants. Padres, they're a half game up on all three of those other teams. Cubs, Reds, and Giants, all tied right now. And I don't know how the tiebreakers would work per se, but they have the Cubs, Reds, then the Giants listed there. So whatever they go with there, whether it's their divisional record, what have you. And then you got the Cardinals. Then you got the Pirates, Diamondbacks, Nationals, all within a game and a half or less. Oh, by the way, the Mets, who won yesterday, they're only 3 games back. It's just a mess right now in the National League. It's an absolute mess. It's a little cleaner in the American League, I'm not going to lie. When you go to the teams there, they have 6 teams over 500. So a little bit better. And then you get the more normal, right? AL wildcard third team. You got the Red Sox at 500. You got the Detroit Tigers just a game below. Blue Jays, who take 2 of 3 from the Oakland A's this last weekend. A's losing in extras yesterday. Tough loss there. Needed that Mason Miller save. If you can get it to me. They could not have gotten it to Mason, unfortunately. Then you got the Rays. You got the Rangers, again, the defending champs. Then you got the Astros. And then you got A's, Angels, White Sox. They're all pretty much out of it right now. So, really, there's only, as I do math here, about 5 teams in all of baseball that are out of the race on June 10th. Now, maybe because of this third wild card, I haven't been paying close enough attention to the teams that are eliminated, but this feels like the fewest amount of teams in recent memory that are actually eliminated by almost the mid-June. Again, Marlins, Rockies in the National League, and then White Sox, Angels, A's. I'm pretty confident in saying none of those teams are making the playoffs, and they all lead their respective leads in negative run differential. And that highest honor goes to the Chicago White Sox. Minus 144. Yikes. Although they took care of business this past weekend, I want to say. Took 2 or 3 against the Red Sox. So the Dodgers are going to run away with the division. The Giants, though, they just need to hang around 500. And I'm confident they're going to be able to do that. Now, how aggressive are they going to be at the deadline? And how well is this team going to be playing at said trade deadline? Which, again, ended July. So we got a lot of time to figure that out. But Heliot Ramos, that guy's a player. That guy, again, and I heard Mark Willard, or at least I heard the clip that our 95.7 The Game social media account posted, and it was basically saying, hey, why are we excited about Heliot Ramos? And I've been saying that. This guy's balling. Batting leadoff, 314 average, 405 on base, slugging at 533. Didn't have his greatest game yesterday, but again, when they need a big hit right now, it's coming from Heliot Ramos. And that's a massive sign for a team that, again, in a fan base specifically, what have they been clamoring for? What have they been starving for? Aside from garlic fries and baseball, guys. Shout out the podcast. Sam Lubman, Joe Shasky. New one coming out this week, Sammy? Yeah, shaky. It's all right. We'll see. But they've been clamoring for a young bat, a clutch bat, a guy that they can gravitate towards. Hey, Heliot Ramos checks a lot of boxes for me. He's got swagger. He's young. He's athletic. He's got pop. I mean, what else do you need? Now, is he the household name? No, but if he keeps doing this, he's going to be a household name. He doesn't have the name of a Marco Luciano, who is your, most highly touted prospect outside of Kyle Harrison. They still consider a prospect, but I mean, the guy's a rookie now. I mean, I think you can remove that tag. I know they do it in baseball more so than any other sport, but he's here to stay. You can remove that tag now for Heliot Ramos. He's here to stay as well. He's not just a prospect for me. He's a rookie within the Giants organization. Is he even considered a rookie? How do they do that? There's a certain amount of games threshold, I want to say, just like in basketball where they don't play a full season. They get the red shirt and stuff like that. I don't know if Heliot Ramos qualifies because I know he had a cup of coffee, but the at-bats, I'm sure, will tell me. Let me know. Text line 888-957-9570. Those are those subtle intricacies in baseball I always forget. Like the rookie of the year, how many games have you had to have played, yada, yada, yada. This guy, who I'm about to pivot to in a second, is no rookie. And again, I told you we were going international here on the pregame show. And that means we're going to France. We already went across the pond talking London. We might talk some Olympics as well, which is also in Paris, France this year. Because everyone's up in arms. Oh, Caitlin Clark she didn't get selected to be on the team. Oh no, the eyeballs. We really need to grow Stop it. Have you seen her play? She needs all the reps she can with her actual teammates that she's with every single day out of the year. Not the Olympians, which again, it's different from the men's side who have the offseason to deal with this. But if I'm an Indiana Fever fan or if I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, I need her to be in the WNBA where it is the best competition throughout. Not the Olympics where the women's side has dominated the rest of the country. It's not like the men's side, by the way, where the men, and it seems like globally, the game has gotten so much closer to the American standard of excellence. We know Spain's always been there. France will be difficult, right? Teams like that are traditionally giving the Americans some trouble. But now you got the Baltic states in there, man. You got the Slovenias of the world, the Luka Doncic. And we'll get to him as the Mavericks go down 0-2 now against the Boston Celtics as that series shifts over to Dallas. Not looking good. Not looking good for the Dallas Mavericks. Anyone outside of Luka Doncic, it seems like the Boston Celtics have figured out. And that's a problem. It's a problem for the Dallas Mavericks, also a problem for the casual viewer who wanted a good series because we might not get one. And that sucks. But you think the Celtics care about that? No. They want to take over their claim as the best franchise in the NBA. And they would do that if you are just judging that by the most titles in NBA history, as they are locked in with the Los Angeles Lakers for most all time right now. Celtics win another. They would overtake them and be the most decorated team in the history of the NBA. So a lot happening this weekend. Good morning to all of you again. 888-957-9570, the number. Let me play this. This was easily the best matchup of the weekend in all of sports. In baseball, you had Yankees-Dodgers, and it was thrilling. It was compelling. Again, you had the Phillies-Mets rivalry there going across the pond. They were in London. Very cool to watch that, how they set that all up. Bryce Harper had a bomb, and he did a sliding on his knees a la a soccer celebration that you would see. We had, again.
Sorry, I mean to interrupt. Was he drinking vodka in the dugout after a home run too?
Bryce? What? Bryce Harper?
He was swinging from a bottle that looked like a vodka bottle, and obviously the liquid was clear, so there's really only two options it could be there.
That's a clown question, bro. Come on, Sam.
That's a 4.
Thank you. Come on. Bryce Harper? Isn't he a Latter-day Saint? I don't know if he's allowed to do that. Say Bryce Harper
scandal
vodka.
On our hands?
Come on. Bryce drinks fancy water from glass bottles in the dugout.
Oh, there you go. It's fancy British water. That's what it was.
It says, this is a Reddit thread, so this is no. He only drinks grain alcohol and pure glacial waters right from the streams.
So again, it sounds like it's either one of those two then.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's just a fancy water he must have drank or something like that. So
can't believe Twitter was wrong about that.
Hey, X, I'm sure you had 4,000 different nudes and bio responses in that. God.
Got to play out that Bryce Harper drinking, you know.
We used to be a civilized society. There were no porn bots back in my day on Twitter, and now they're just infiltrating everything. Oh, boy. Again, I keep rambling here. This was the matchup of the weekend.
So, 7 matchs, Alcaraz. Chrono sur 12, 6-3, 2-6, 5-7, 6-1, 6-2.
Carlos Alcaraz defeats Alexander Zverev at the French Open in 5 sets, a thrilling 5 sets. It was must-see TV. And I got some thoughts on certain aspects of the French Open that actually pissed me off. We'll get to the happy before I get to the bad, because there's just something archaic going on within this tournament that needs to be addressed. But shout out Carlos Alcaraz, who becomes the youngest male player to win on all 3 surfaces. So in tennis, obviously you got the hard courts, that being the Australian Open, that being the US Open. Australian Open is the first of the Grand Slam 4 that take place. That took place back in January. Then you got the French, which just took place, which is on clay. And then you got the grass courts coming up, the grass court season, which is actually happening right now because the Tennis Channel is on in the studio. And that's the Wimbledon final coming up here. And then, obviously, it closes with the U.S. Open. So you have 2 hard courts, a clay, and a grass. Carlos has now won all 3. He's won the U.S. Open, he's won Wimbledon, and he's won the French now at 21 years old. It's pretty incredible. Now, that said, we might have had an even tighter final. It went 5 sets, but that final set, that 5th and final one, should have been a lot closer. Why? Because Alexander Zverev should have broken Carlos Alcaraz when he was down 2-1, and it was Alcaraz on serve. He was up 2-1 on Alcaraz. Check that. Strike that, reverse it. Alcaraz was up 2-1 on Zverev. He was down 15-40, and he had seemingly double faulted in that 5th set. So much so, the lines judge called it out, but was overruled by the chair umpire. So the chair umpire, for those that don't know in tennis, they can overrule certain calls on the court, and they are the judge, jury, executioner, if you will, out there. So they overruled it. Now, mind you, the French Open is the only major tournament of the Big Four that does not use the Hawkeye tracking system. Think of that as the instant replay in tennis. It is the instant replay center, and it tracks whether the ball hit the line, was out, what have you. Johnny McEnroe would have loved this back in the day. You cannot be serious. That's how I felt yesterday watching this. But, my God, I don't know how you could be so arrogant to have the technology in a major tournament. This is like not having replay in the Super Bowl. Like, I understand people getting pissed off at Major League Baseball because it slows the game down, the instant replay. But just for a second, imagine in the World Series, it was the Giants and it was, I don't know, the Yankees or something. And Mike Yastrzemski gets called out at first base on a potential game-tying single, and the game's over, and they lose in 7-6, what have you. But he was actually safe. And they whiffed on that. Oh, nope, sorry. Yeah, he was called out. We can't do anything about it. Are you serious? Now, it used to be like that for a long time, and people still have a problem with replay in baseball. It's not perfect. I'm not here to say it is. But those first base ones, those bang-bang plays, they get right more often than not. And if they don't, quick replay, there you go. Keep your challenge, what have you. The fact that the French Open and Alexander Zverev got called for a non-double fault. Carlos Alcaraz double faulted. It should have been 2-2 in that 5th set. Zverev back on serve. But they called it in on a second. What happens? Well, Alcaraz comes back. They go to deuce. He wins it. He goes up 3-1. And then it was a runaway after that. Just in a major championship final, can we get the calls right? Something as night and day as out or in tennis, you need to be able to get that right. And the Americans have gotten it right at the US Open. The Australians have gotten it right in the Australian Open. The English, the Brits have gotten it right for Wimbledon. The French are like, oh, no, we're not doing that. Replay system. What? We scoff at your replay system. Please. Come on. The arrogance you have to have is just, ugh. I felt for Zverev in the moment. Now, having said all that, he still has to shake that off. It is a mental game, more than physical at times in tennis. Any one-player sport like that, whether it's golf, whether it's tennis, when it's all on you, it becomes more mental than physical at times. And after that, it became a mental game. He was still up 40-15 in that game. He blows it, goes down 3-1 in the set, and it was night-night after that. But it should have been 2-2. It should have been. He got robbed of that. And as a casual fan, I know dog in the fight. Zverev, the German, and Alcaraz, the Spaniard, I don't care who won that. I just want to get the calls right. It's as simple as that, really. But again, congratulations, Carlos Alcaraz. That was my one takeaway from it, though. We got to get the calls right. We do. Where's BG Tennis Nation? My guy Brad Gilbert, Bay Area Zone. You can get him on 888-957-9570. Now I'm interested in this Bryce Harper thing, drinking in the dugout. Alleged drinking. We don't know what was in the bottle or anything. He was overseas. Not that it matters or anything. It's like, yeah, in England here, they're allowed to drink in the dugout. It's like, actually, I'm not sure about that. Although that would be funny. Just the subtle intricacies of going across the pond or overseas anywhere else. Yeah, and this, in the Premier League, they actually drink coming off the bench. Oh, yeah, studies have shown. Okay, sure. Take your word for it. Maybe the Dallas Mavericks fans better start drinking early because it looks like it's all but over. I mean, you got to just look up the stats. Teams that go up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, I'm sure their percentage is 70 plus that they win said finals. I'm just going to do it right now. NBA Finals going up 2-0 percentage. Ha! Look at me. Even more than that. 86.1% of the time. Teams that win the first two games of the NBA Finals go on to win it 86.1% of the time. Doing some quick math there. 31-5 all time. 31-5. This does not bode well for the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. And I thought it was a bad matchup going in, and I just feel confirmed watching it. They're just hounding on defense. Jaylen Brown, I've said it throughout the playoffs. I'll say it again, and everyone's starting to finally come onto my pew. Shout out Lorenzo Neal, same church, same pew. Jaylen Brown's their best player. Obviously. It's not Jason Tatum. It's not Drew Holiday. It's not Kristaps Porzingis. It's Jaylen Brown. Again, just looking at yesterday. Efficient offensively. 3-ball wasn't there. He wasn't forcing it too much. He went 1 of 5. But 8 of 15 overall. 7 assists, 4 boards. Did turn the ball over quite a bit, but he got the 3 steals. His level of play defensively is what separates him, though. Forget about the offensive end. Forget about the scoring, in which, again, Drew Holiday did a tremendous amount of yesterday. Jason Tatum, still trying to figure it out. Just has not been as great a series. Shooting the ball, although he wasn't shooting, and I'll give Tatum credit for this. He was 6 of 22 overall, 12 assists for him. So when his shot wasn't working, and he was still chucking, he was also finding the open man, getting him the ball, and they were knocking him down. Kristaps Porzingis, again, off the bench, though. I mean, he had his moment in game 1. That's all they pretty much needed. But they'll take 4 of 7, 12 points off the bench. Absolutely. They've shrunk the rotation down. Hauser only got 10 minutes. Peyton Pritchard got 12. And then you're leaning on your stars and your studs. 45 minutes for Tatum. 28 minutes for Horford. 41 for Holiday. Derek White, 38 minutes. He's shrinking this rotation, that being Joe Mazzulla. And he's not letting anyone else in there. Dallas Mavericks, they were trying. They were trying to mix and match, and no one else has stepped up outside of Luka Doncic. Kyrie has not been his best finals so far. Gafford, all right, 13 points. Derek Jones Jr., okay, 11 there. PJ Washington, solid. But they need that one other breakout performance and they're not getting it outside of Luka. And that's the problem. Again, I mentioned Drew Holiday getting you 26. Jaylen Brown getting you 21. Hell, Tatum didn't shoot well. He almost got you 20. You need someone else to hit 20 if you're Dallas. And Kyrie Irving, as much as we wanted to give him his flowers throughout the playoffs, and they've been great. He's looked unlike Kyrie Irving. This has looked pedestrian Kyrie Irving. And that's not good enough. It's just not. So what's going to happen? Is he going to turn back the clock? Is he going to look like old playoff Kyrie of just a couple weeks ago at home? Is that going to be it? I have a hard time seeing the Dallas Mavericks coming back in this series. 888-957-9570. Love to know your thoughts on it. Again, hit me up via the Xfinity Mobile text line. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow me at Spadoni_Joe. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. We got to hit a quick break. Come on back. More of your thoughts, more of your text on this past weekend. It was an incredible sports weekend. What stood out to you on 95.7 The Game?
Our world is constantly changing, and every day, Stanford Medicine advances our understanding.
Rose with the rejection. Here's Irving. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Play of the game yesterday from Derek White. Often the unsung hero. Mr. Consistent for that team. Remember his game one against the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago. And it's crazy how time flies, right? It feels like just yesterday. Maybe for some fans, it feels like forever ago, depending on what type of the glass you are, right? Half glass, half full. Or half empty, half full. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's a Monday. Give me a break. Waking up with all you lovely people. If you've already been up for 7-8 hours, like Spadoni, I've been here for a while. Come on. Get with it. Well, I appreciate you listening. If you are one of those overnight workers, you know, people always, you say, oh man, I don't know how you do that schedule. I don't know. God, you got to get up. What is that? 3:30 wake up time every morning. It's like, oh man. I was like, well, yeah, I don't know how people work like literally opposite hours. I don't know how people do graveyard shifts. I don't know if my mind could wrap around that and just do that every day. You don't know daytime. You're a creature of the night. You're a vampire. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I'm built that way. I could do early mornings, sure. I could do it. I've been doing it for years now. It's not the greatest thing, having less sleep, but you know what? I got an opportunity to talk every day. I'm going to freaking take it, baby. That's what we're doing right now. And you know what? I'm sure there's people that have the graveyard shift and say, hey, do I want to be doing the graveyard shift? Probably not. But you know what? If there's an opportunity to be had, you're going to take it. And you know what? I salute all you pre-gamers who have to work those overnight shifts and maybe don't have a lot of time to spend with your families because you're working a bunch. But I didn't see my dad a lot growing up because he was working 2 jobs. Work early mornings and then late nights. There's maybe 10 o'clock if I was still awake or past my bedtime. I didn't really have a bedtime, to be honest. But I would see him in transition. Hey, how was school? All right, see you later. And that was it, all the way up till 6th, 7th grade when he was like semi-retired. So I appreciate all you hard workers out there trying to get your money. And I appreciate all the teachers right now that maybe are off school and trying to relax at the same time. Hardest working individuals are some of those elementary school, high school teachers. Hey, the public school system, they're not taking care of you as much as they should. So you know what? I hope you take care of yourself this summer. Have a nice vacation. Shout out to all you teachers doing the God's work, helping mold the youth of America, which, God, needs all the help it can get. Trust me on that. Having to raise a 4-year-old right now. I swear to God, these kids, though, man, it's true. I'm not going Bill Cosby here. No, don't talk about that. But kids say the darndest things. But it is true that they say some of the most ridiculous things. Young Ben Spadoni. He's like, yeah, I used to like that show. He was talking about like Puppy Dog Pals or something. And it came on TV because his little sister was watching it. It's not like Disney Channel or whatever. He's like, yeah, when I was younger, I used to like that show. But not anymore. I was like, younger? You're 4 years old. Yeah, I used to like it when I was 2, Dad. It's like, Jesus, are you sounding like you're 50 years old already? They have these moments and these glimpses of where he sounds like a middle-aged man. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that's my son. And I've also been doing the same dad jokes as my father since I was like 10 years old, 5 years old. It's crazy. It's craziness. What else is crazy was hearing the voice of the Rangers yesterday, the television voice of the Rangers. Excuse me, I had it up here. Now I don't. Television voice of Rangers. Dave Raymond, excuse me, on the call with Hunter Pence yesterday for the Roku channel. I was trying to find the game and watch the. I was like, I ended up streaming it. Not maybe not legally, but Dave Raymond was on the call with Hunter Pence, and it kind of threw me off. I was like, wait, this is the Rangers announcer. Like, why is he sounding so happy? And then there's the Giants calls. Obviously, yes, it's the home run. I was like, okay, all right. But Ezekiel Duran puts the team up and kind of put the game away yesterday. I'm going to play the call here.
2 men on, only 1 out, and this ball hit sharply, and that one through the drawn-in infield, a base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes Lowe. He scores. Duran delivers a 2-run single to right. And the Rangers with an offensive explosion today.
I always felt some type of way as a fan listening when guys had to go national, but they're still, for example, let me phrase this better. Joe Davis does Fox Sports, right? He does the national Fox. He took over for Joe Buck. Obviously, Joe Davis, we also know from the NFL. He's on their, I guess now he's going to be the number 3 team because Greg Olson will probably go to the 2 team. However that works, I'm not sure. Unless he gets paired up with Joe Davis. But I think him and Moose Johnston are very good together. But I could see Greg sliding with Joe Davis and that being the number 2 team for Fox as Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady team up this next year. But I wonder if, Giants fans feel type of way with Joe Davis calling the national game between the Giants and Dodgers. He's already the television play-by-play voice for the Dodgers regularly. I knew they hated Joe Buck. That I don't really get. I get that he barely called Cardinals games and his dad is synonymous with Cardinals baseball. But Joe Buck, he never once showed, to me anyways, any bias for or against the Giants. Joe Buck, I think we're going to look on as time goes on and realize how good that guy actually was, whether it was baseball, whether it was football. Hell, I thought he was solid in golf too when Fox had, the U.S. Open for a hot minute. But I always felt some type of way when my own team was going up against, a hated team. And this past weekend, you saw it too. I wonder how Yankees fans felt about Joe Davis calling Dodgers Yankees. And maybe they didn't care. Hey, that's just something I'm on. I don't know. 888-957-9570. I just feel like whenever you take over for a legend too, like Vin Scully transcended the rivalry between the Dodgers and the Giants. And Vin Scully was like, yeah, Giants fans love that guy. Who didn't? It was like your grandpa was talking to you about the game of baseball, whether you were a Giants fan. And listen, Vin Scully grew up a Giants fan. I want to say his favorite player was Willie Mays. So, yeah. Like, some things transcend the rivalry. And when you have a broadcaster that does that, that means he's special. Vin Scully was that. Joe Davis not there yet. Listen, I don't think there's never going to be another Vin Scully. I think Joe Davis is just going to try to be Joe Davis. I always just thought it was an interesting thing. After I listened to the Roku channel this past weekend and the television voice of the Texas Rangers, Dave Raymond was calling the game, a neutral game, if you will, or a national game, and Hunter Pence was the color analyst. Hunter, very good, very energetic, and that is something that is very difficult too. Having your, player cap on, or I'm not going to say a biased cap, because when Hunter's doing NBC Sports Bay Area games and calling Giants games, obviously he has a slant towards the Giants, and he won multiple World Series there. So he's going to have a different perspective. But when he's calling the team nationally, it's also refreshing too to hear his perspective and do deeper dives on some of the other teams that you maybe don't hear about as much. Like the Texas Rangers, who he did play there, by the way, and he was an all-star with Texas, by the way. One of those weird trivia things that if you look back on, he's like, oh, he was an all-star for these 3 different teams. Or who is it for? I'm not sure. But it was definitely Houston, Texas, and San Francisco. I don't know if he was for the Phillies or not. Can't remember. But it was refreshing to hear his take on guys like Marcus Semien, Jonah Heim, right? Nathan Eovaldi yesterday, who was, again, still sliding under the radar of just such an underrated pitcher, Nathan Eovaldi. He's done it postseason after postseason after postseason. But in the regular season, he still gets kind of like, oh, yeah, it's Nathan Eovaldi, maybe. No, his stuff is still legit. Won 7 innings yesterday, allowed 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks. When his stuff is on and he's got that movement on his fastball, that 2-seamer, it's nasty. And he was nasty yesterday. Again, Keaton Wynn getting the L for the Giants. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 7 earned runs allowed. Did have the 7 Ks, but 2 walks as he comes back from his injury stint. When will we see Blake Snell, Alex Cobb, and Robbie Ray? Well, that remains to be seen. But right now, the Giants are treading water, and they have a massive 3-game set against the Houston Astros coming up here No Kyle Tucker, again, who was one of the top MVP candidates in the American League before he got hurt. Now it looks like it's going to be Aaron Judge's to lose. Juan Soto, they're saying it's just forearm inflammation that he has. There was concern, obviously, Juan Soto of the New York Yankees, concerned that maybe it was a UCL injury, but they're just saying it's inflammation. So good news all around there for the game of baseball. I don't want to see Juan Soto get hurt. But today, Astros Giants, 6:45, first pitch time in Oracle Park. Let me know if you're hitting up that game. 888-957-9570. One more segment for you on the other side. More of your calls, more of your texts on 95.7 The Game.
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a serious heart condition. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. My HCM impacted how I felt and what I could do. So I asked my cardiologist about treatment advances that gave me new options. That conversation was big for me.
95.7 The Game.
Unlimited possibilities.
You guys see the James Harden? There's like a new meme with James Harden now. I think he was at a wedding or something with his girlfriend. I don't know, fiance. I don't know who she is. But whoever he is with caught the bouquet. But she caught it. And obviously when you catch the bouquet at a wedding, you're supposed to be good luck. You're going to be the next one to get married. What have you. She turns around, looks right at James Harden. If you're on social and you're already following 95.7 The Game, I'll tweet it out there. But it was just an all-time, and it's just added to the list of the James Harden memes. Like, it was funny. James Harden, he wanted to be, or they asked him, what do you want to be remembered for? He's like, hey, I want to be remembered as the guy who, like, cared about winning, wanted to win at the highest levels. Like, that's not what you're going to be remembered for. No. You're going to be remembered.
So I did slide in the DMs to say hi.
Exactly. Relax. It's not what you're going to be remembered for, Japes. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. One MVP. Very good score. Elite score. One of the best we've ever seen. But basketball stops there. Then it goes to off the field stuff. Off the court. Good morning to all of you. Just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for the summer. Summer plans. Driving, flying, whatever you're doing. Appreciate you choosing the pregame show here with me. We've got one more segment before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast. They're fired up. Giants, they take 2 or 3 from the Texas Rangers, take that series. It's going to be a Texas two-step, although they're leaving Texas and coming home to face the other Texas team in the Houston Astros, who are 30-36. They're, again, hanging around. Don't let the Astros hang around. It's kind of like letting the Kansas City Chiefs hang around. Let them do that, they're going to bite you in the ass. And Astros might just do that. They're 4.5 back from the third wild card spot. That's nothing for them. And they're going to be active around the deadline. Again, a ways to go there. But the National League, again, it's crazy. There's 4 teams that are above 500. We're almost at mid-June. All right, we got a couple months now. These are trends that are starting to take place. Everyone else is hovering around 500. Padres, 34-35. Cubs and the Reds and the Giants, all 32-34. You got the Cardinals, who everyone left for dead at the start of the year. They're 31-33. Pirates, 31-34. You're catching the theme here. The defending NL champs, Arizona Diamondbacks, 31-35. Like, it's crazy. This is when you're going to start seeing, though, this next month and a half, up until the trade deadline, who's going to separate themselves and who is going to be realistic with themselves. And when I say realistic, what organizations are going to look themselves in the mirror and feel they're just a piece or two away? You know, I remember the Braves a couple years back when they won their World Series and won their World Series run. People looked at that Jock Peterson trade and that deal and kind of laughed at them. Like, really? That, you're going all in with a guy like Jock Peterson? What happened? He was amazing in the playoffs for them. They wore the pearls and everything, and they won the freaking World Series. And he's a legend there, just for that playoff run alone. Those are the kind of moves. We've seen that with the Giants, the Cody Rosses, the Aubrey Huffs of the world, right? We've seen moves made. Hunter Pence. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year, but teams that trust in their staff, in their everyday lineup, in their coach, are going to be aggressive. Now, is now the time to be aggressive? I'm not sure. It feels like the San Diego Padres capitalized early and they saw something and identified it early with Luis Arias. And by the way, Luis Arias, if we're just going by stats this year, he's been insane. I mean, he's batting .331. He's got .369 on-base percentage. And he's got the 100. He's not known for his power. 17 ribbies, but it's OPS .765. Like, the guy just gets on base. Guy just hits. He hits and hits and hits, and he's been a godsend for that team. Again, who is hovering around 500. So 888-957-9570. What are some of your takeaways from that past road trip where the Giants go 3-3? They lose a series, they take a series against the World Series representatives. And I think it's just interesting when you look at both those teams that the Giants just faced who were in the World Series. No one was taking either of those squads heading into the playoffs. I sure as hell wasn't taking the Texas Rangers. I wasn't taking the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were hot in the last month of the year to even get into the playoffs. Hell, start of September, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we were all poo-pooing the Arizona Diamondbacks, saying, oh, they're not going to do anything. Oh, the Giants should be able to squeak in. Oh, and then what happened? It was the Diamondbacks that squeaked in and then ran the table in the National League. The Rangers, oh, they cooled off. Their pitching staff's hurt. They're not hitting the ball as much. It's probably going to be the Astros, right? And then what happened? They face the Astros, and Adolis Garcia turns into their daddy. You never know what's going to take place. So getting in, yes, even if it's a third wild card, still means something. And it damn sure means something to Farhan Zaidi and Bob Melvin. Specifically Farhan, who, like Mark Jackson, he's fighting for his life. He's got a lot at stake going on this year. I mean, that's what he said to Susan Slusser of the San Francisco Chronicle. A lot is at stake for Farhan Zaidi. And he's got to be in that third wild card. See, and Tim Kawakami of the TK podcast here at Odyssey spoke about it. I forget what show, whether it was on Willard and Dibbs or not. But he was talking about he doesn't think that even if they don't make the wild card that Farhan loses his job. He says, yeah, if they're hovering around 500 and, you see some signs there, yeah, they'll probably bring him back. What? Really? I mean, I think it's even more of an indictment if you don't make the third wild card this year, right? Like, you better. Listen, the Cubs, Reds, and Giants are all 2 games under 500, and they're all tied for the final wild card spot. It should be a major indictment on any one of those teams if they don't make it. The Padres, too. Like, the Braves pretty much have that top wildcard seed. I know it's 4.5 games. It's early. I think they're going to hang on to that. And don't be surprised if they have a late season run and they try to take that division away from the Phillies. I know the Phillies are balling. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And the Braves have a lot of injuries. They're going to be wheeling and dealing at the deadline themselves. They're going to try to get better. They're going to be in on some of the big boy names. Absolutely. But it would be a major disappointment if the Giants did not make the third wild card this season. I don't care if they've struggled to this point. I don't care if they have a lot of injuries they're dealing with. I look around the rest of the National League. Again, Cubs, Reds, Cardinals, Pirates, D-backs, Nationals. I'm not impressed. And when and if they get healthy, I think the Giants got the best rotation out of all of them, including the Padres in there. That's got to mean something. I mean, hell, if the bats aren't doing it, the pitching should. Reds are red hot, by the way. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're the only other team in the National League. There's 5 teams. Check that, 6. That have a plus run differential. It's the 3 division leaders, the Braves, the Padres, and the Cincinnati Reds. Everyone else is in the negatives, which kind of tells you, again, the state of baseball. There's the haves, and then there's the kind of haves, and then there's the have-nots. And right now there's a lot of kind of have it. Sort of. A lot of middling teams right now in Major League Baseball. 888-957-9570 is the number, though. Start lining them up for Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast. They're fired up. It's a Monday, and Bonte likes to say he likes to set the tone on a Monday. And what's better than setting the tone with calling in? What blew your mind this past weekend? Again, mine, just going to say it again, the fact that we have a major in tennis that doesn't use instant replay. Australian Open, US Open, Wimbledon, they all use it. But apparently the French are like, I spit on your instant replay. All right, fine. I guess we just don't want to be in unison when it comes to the sport. Like, I can't imagine it. The championship level, you get the calls wrong. And you're using you're trusting in your own eyes. And trust me, I wear contacts, I wear glasses, my eyes are wrong all the time. But these guys are coming out of their chair on a clay court, sticking their finger on the line and saying, no, I saw it. I see it right there. I'm going to mark, no. It's just the arrogance is unbelievable. And you know what? These two are arrogant coming up, but in a good way. And I love it. See you tomorrow, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free